Nearly 4 billion years ago, the planet Mars was blue. The evidence points to a world holding a vast northern ocean. Its liquid volume defied easy measurement, but the evidence points to a body of water that would dwarf Earth's entire Arctic Ocean. Now, that water is gone. The blue world replaced by a silent, rust-red desert. It was a planetary heist. This investigation will follow the evidence to uncover the precise chain of events that killed an ocean and left its ghost behind. The murder weapon was not a rogue asteroid or a planet-cracking supervolcano. The search leads not to the sky, but deep into the planet's core. This was no external attack. The force that condemned Mars's oceans came from within. The planet itself became the executioner. For eons, a molten iron heart spun at its center. This engine generated a global magnetic field, an invisible shield against the hostile cosmos. Then, approximately 4 billion years ago, the dynamo failed. The planet's iron heart went silent. The magnetic shield it sustained simply vanished. The shield wavered. Then the field collapsed. The planet was left exposed. Suddenly, Mars was defenseless. Its armor was gone, leaving its atmosphere and vast northern ocean completely exposed to a new enemy. That enemy was the sun itself. Now the relentless solar wind could begin its work. The slow, complete exsanguination of a planet. Its magnetic shield shattered. A torrent of charged particles from the sun scoured the Martian atmosphere, molecule by molecule, bleeding it into the void. It unleashed a constant stream of charged particles, a plasma torrent aimed directly at the vulnerable world. An invisible gale of charged particles slammed into the upper atmosphere at speeds that defy comprehension. This was not a singular collision. It was a relentless, molecular-level abrasion on a planetary scale. For 1 billion years, solar radiation flayed the Martian sky, atom by atom. The very pressure holding the northern ocean in place was now being scoured away and cast into the cold of space. With its atmospheric shield shredded, surface pressure on Mars entered a catastrophic freefall, triggering an unthinkable consequence. On the surface, the fundamental laws of physics became a planetary death sentence. The boiling point of water collapsed, potentially larger than Earth's Arctic. The vast northern ocean of Mars did not just gently evaporate over millennia, it began to boil. A violent, planet-wide decompression event turned the ancient sea into a churning cauldron. Vast plumes of vapor were ripped from the surface into a sky that could no longer hold them down. This was the final act. The planet bleeding its water directly into the cold vacuum of space. The ocean is gone, stolen, but the planet remembers. The killer left fingerprints carved into bedrock, vast and undeniable. From orbit, the Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter's cameras act as forensic scanners, mapping the planet's ancient scars. They find them, sprawling, desiccated river deltas, frozen in time. Ghostly imprints of water's flow. Orbital scanners pinpoint a scar on the surface. Not a model, not a theory. This is the clear, unmistakable shape of a dry riverbed fanning into a basin, the floor of a vanished lake. Every channel and sediment layer is topographical and mineralogical proof of immense, sustained water flows across the surface. This wasn't the scar of a flash flood. This was the patient erosion of rivers, pouring into a sea, age after age. The planetary autopsy was conducted from orbit. NASA's MAVEN spacecraft was the forensic instrument for this 4 billion-year-old cold case. It ignored the surface. instead sampling the thin air for the chemical fingerprints of a dead atmosphere. The critical clue was argon gas. Lighter argon escapes to space more easily than its heavier isotope, leaving a skewed ratio. That modern ratio is a direct measurement. It allows scientists to calculate the exact amount of atmosphere lost over eons. The data delivered an unambiguous verdict on the scale of the planetary theft. At least 66% of Mars's original atmosphere was violently stripped into space, a victim of the solar wind. For all its fury, the solar wind could not complete the execution. Some water survived the scourging of the dying world. The water that survived found a final tomb. It was chemically locked into the planet's crust, trapped within the rock itself. But most of the survivors went deeper, seeking a permanent chemical prison inside the planet's own crust. The water was absorbed, bonding with rock on a molecular level to create vast fields of hydrated minerals. The planet's surface, under relentless assault, drank the last of its own oceans. The water isn't gone. It's a chemical prisoner, locked forever inside the planet's own rock. The crime scene on Mars has a forensic investigator, a six-wheeled geologist named Curiosity, dispatched to the floor of Jezero Crater. It crawls across the floor of an ancient basin, a place where deep water once stood for an age, now erased by time. It carries a suite of forensic tools. Chief among them is a laser that vaporizes rock, analyzing the flash of light to reveal its ancient chemistry. The rock dust was fed into an onboard laboratory. The analysis found the chemical signature of ancient lakebed mud, formed in water that was neither too salty nor too acidic. The rover's instruments detected telltale signs within the rock itself. Hydrated minerals, a chemical structure that can only form in the presence of liquid water. This was not just proof of past water. It was the water itself, chemically trapped, the petrified ghost of a vanished lake. But the water itself wasn't the final prize. The rover's drill bored into the rock, searching for the faint, chemical echo of a habitable world. Any organic compounds in the ancient water would have settled into the lakebed, buried under layers of sediment, a potential shield against the sterilizing radiation bombarding the surface. The rock dust was delivered to an internal chemistry suite, which began a complex process of breaking the sample down, molecule by molecule. The analysis confirmed it. Specific molecules were trapped, locked inside the clay itself. Curiosity found complex organic compounds, the carbon-based structures that are the raw building blocks for all known biology. The base ingredients for life were present in the mud of a Martian lake, sealed away before the world died. So the ingredients were assembled. A warm, wet world, rich with the fundamental carbon-based building blocks of biology. The primordial elements aligned. A window, brief on a cosmic scale, had opened. For a time, Mars was habitable, but a planetary clock was ticking down, counting the moments until its protective shield collapsed. The evidence confirms the window for life was open. The unanswered question is whether anything passed through it, but whether it had enough time. Did biology get a foothold before the sun ripped the oceans from the surface and sterilized the world? A brief, tantalizing moment of possibility, now extinguished. This entire 4-billion-year history dictates the modern hunt. The rovers scouring the surface are not searching for living organisms crawling in the dust. The hunt is now for biosignatures, the faint chemical echoes that life may have left behind in the planet's ancient lakebeds. Its purpose is a precise geological extraction. The rover drills into promising formations, collecting and sealing core samples for a planned return mission to Earth. Each sample is a sealed chapter of the planet's history, a core of evidence waiting for its final verdict. The definitive analysis requires instruments too complex to send to Mars. The samples must wait for a journey home. This is not a search for life. It is a search for ghosts, collecting evidence from a potential planetary extinction event. The forensic case of Mars is not a distant story. It is a mirror, reflecting our own world's profound fragility. Earth thrives today under the protection of the same invisible armor that failed on Mars 4 billion years ago. Deep beneath us, a planetary engine of molten iron still churns, a dynamo generating an immense magnetic field. This shield deflects the constant stream of solar particles that would otherwise strip our atmosphere away into space. It is the single most important and most invisible system sustaining all life on this planet. Mars is the stark, frozen monument to what happens when that planetary heart goes cold and the shield dies. Mars is not a failed planet. It is a lesson in planetary mortality. It proves habitability is not a permanent state, but a fleeting, delicate alignment of geological forces that can be broken. The red dust of Mars is not a landscape. It is a tombstone, a monument to a world whose heart went still. Our own planet's core still churns, a liquid metal engine holding back the same solar wind that stripped Mars to the bone. The difference between a blue world and a red one is a single, spinning sphere of iron.